Hey everyone. I'm gonna go over what I've been working on in Project Stray, and apologize for not doing bug fixes on my Doom 2 level. And I'm also kicking myself because every time I'm about to get back to working on Hellbreaker, I get distracted. Anyway, I do plan to get back to both. Of course, I've said that 1,000 times, and then something gets in the way. This, on the other hand, is like coming along. It's progressing. It's progressing. Yo, diggity dog. Alright, so you see these bubble things? They look like crap because they don't have any graphics. That's one of the things I'm actually kind of doing with this project is that I'm going to actually make the thing fully playable with no graphics. You'll be able to play the fucking game, like, and get an idea of what the game is like and everything that's involved. Just all placeholder. Everything placeholder. I'm kind of wondering if it's even a viable strategy. So right here is like the first uh bubble where you can loot everything at once. All right, I got myself some worn body armor. Oh wait, it's level 2. I can't equip that. I'm only level 1. So you'll notice it's item level 2 requires level 2. White items usually have the same item level as they do the level that they require, but items that have better are usually regarded as higher quality. Like this body armor is blue, so that's item level 3, but it requires level 1 to equip. I'm going to equip that because it's much better. And green, I think, is just 1 level up. And that just means that the base stats of the item are multiplied by a decent amount. So it's like you have sort of the same thing with World of Warcraft. It's like green, blue, um, not purple. I forget what my color code is beyond this, but it goes all the way up to like legendary. So you have heroic, like superior, quality superior, uh, heroic, legendary. So you can get some pretty nice stuff. All right, here's a pair of legs. I'm gonna equip those. You can't really see anything. The next things that I need to do on this project right now is get the tooltips working for here, and then once I have tooltips, yeah, once I have that, then I'm gonna actually make it so there's a function that calculates all the armor that you have currently equipped in your slot and your equipment slots to actually affect things. And basically, equipment will provide armor stat, but it'll also give you armor class. Armor class is just the mitigation that you get, but armor amount, like how much armor you have, is the bar down here that you can't see right now because it's 0. That works exactly like Doom and Quake. Like if you equip a nice piece of body armor, you'll end up getting like 40 max armor. But if you have like a full suit, it'll be uh, probably around 500 ish, something like that. So and then the better the armor is, the higher the mitigation. So you can technically have armor where it has a really high mitigation, but its armor value is low, and then I'll kind of like figure it out where it dissipates and armor class dissipates in quality depending on the percentage value of your armor variable. Mega armor is bugged right now because I designed the functionality differently, but I didn't change it yet. So it's pretty much still in a state of flux. All of the guns currently are still default item. You'll notice that there's a couple of default items. While I got everything else functioning correctly, that's just one of the things that's like I'm leaving guns for last because guns are like the most fun thing, and I'm doing all the janitorial like bullshit, like side unfun stuff first. I'm like tackling all that shit first. They're like making the inventory function correctly and making it so that like say I don't want to carry these anymore, I can drop them. See how it's like dropped item cache. You drop the items. Now, one of the other things about the loot in this game I do plan to support multiplayer, but one of the things about the loot is that none of the loot is replicated. In other words, everybody who's playing together, everybody gets their own loot. It's totally somebody might get a nice drop, someone else, the other person won't see it, right? And I think that the only way I might make it so that the only way that you can actually trade items with another player is to drop it on the ground, but I might actually even not even allow that. I might actually make it so that when you're between levels, when you're in the hub between loading the maps, if you're with somebody, you can like place the item on a thing and they can take it. So this isn't really designed to have like an infrastructure, a big multiplayer infrastructure. It's kind of meant to be more like a humble little like neat game that you just play. Like I'm not gonna be storing information for the player on the fucking servers or anything like that. This gonna be kind of like Terraria. You know, all your shit's stored locally. Like if you want to cheat, that's your fucking problem. Like I don't care. And if you know if you don't want to deal with cheaters, people like giving them shit themselves like stupid items, then just don't play with them. And that's pretty much it. Uh, yeah, pretty much the inventory is all functional right now. I even have like a little thing right here where say if I like pick up ammo, but like ammo has a certain amount of weight if you notice right there. So like if I wanna drop all 25, I guess this extra 25 bullets pistol ammo, I could just do that and then it resets. Dismantle is for when you have an item, it'll say it in the tooltip whether or not it can be dismantled. But every item, well, like almost every item in the game, outside of like ammo and stuff like that, will have like a little indicator that says in the tooltip that it can be dismantled. And what that means is that you break the item down into core components. So like it says here, dismantled item cache, equipment parts, right? See, and you do this. You do this like just grab a whole bunch of stuff. Here's all equipment. Click, 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 click. So like I could be like, yo dog, dismantle. You notice that equipment parts from a green item is also green. Um, the value of the item for like when you're doing the whole crafting thing. I haven't even gotten close to like hooking that up yet. All right, I'm probably not even gonna hook up crafting until I actually get you to like be fighting monsters with guns and shit like that. So that's like way down the road. But basically, every one of your raw materials has a level and has a quality value as well. So like it helps determine what kind of item you're going to be able to craft and like the chances that it's going to be something that's your level that you can use and stuff like that. Like you could just dump a whole bunch of items into the same uh, gun or whatever that you want to craft, and it'll function correctly. Like it'll give you some what you desire. Let's see. So gameplay wise, like one of the questions that came up with this, the gameplay wise, is that it's like, well, you're always talking about all this technical stuff. Why aren't you talking about what the game is supposed to be, right? I literally want the combat from my Doom 2 level. Like the levels will have to be structured differently. I can't do these giant like 1 hour long levels. But basically, exactly that style of play that you see in my Doom 2 level, Redemption of the Slain. I want exactly that kind of gameplay, like that. But I want you to be like thinking about inventory and crafting and getting better and better guns. So it's basically I'm attaching a purposefully designed Skinner box onto Doom, and that's essentially it. And it's a system that's designed in such a way where it's very easy for me to balance because there's really no overhead. I'm not changing stats. I'm not like it's essentially just Doom under the hood with really nothing different about it. But it's being presented in such a way that it's very difficult to see that. It's being presented in a way that it's actually going to feel pretty different. So you have this like you're constantly getting better gear. You constantly, let's see, put on some marksman gloves. I need a helmet. Oh, it's level 3 helmet. Ah, fuck, I need a helmet that I can actually use. I'm gonna dismantle this useless helmet. Oh, there you go. Berserker helmet. Okay, cool. Berserker usually like reduces your max health, but yeah, Berserker reduces your max health, but it also increases your attack power. That's usually what Berserker stats do. And like the first 10 levels will have like their own sets of gear sets, and then like after level 10, you'll be able to do all like going further. You'll notice that a lot of these slots are locked when the game first starts out, and you're just starting off. You actually have to acquire these items, which are unlocks. They're called, and you notice that there's a level cap unlock for each and every one of these. So like the idea is that you start off in your hub city, and like you play the same Doom level over and over again, getting better and better gear. Like I'm designing the level so that it's not too repetitive to play it like over and over again. I want it to kind of feel a little bit like a dungeon in WoW or something, where you jump in, maybe there's some elements that are a little bit, but you're essentially just doing the same thing over and over again. You're getting better and better gear, and then you might decide to level up your enforcer instead of your soldier, and then you get like one of them to level 10, and then you could do a level where then you can get the level 10 unlock cap. You fight a boss or something, and like it's really hard. Maybe it won't be available until later in the game's lifespan. So like it'll be like expansions where I add more maps, and now the level cap is raised to 20, and then I do it again, and then I do it again, and you just keep getting better and cooler stuff. And that's basically it. But there's a pretty large variety of different types of guns. You can't really see because at the moment they don't have names and stats. That entire system hasn't even been done yet. But that's essentially what it is. Like I kind of I don't know. It just seems really fun. Like this is just something I would like to play. It is a really straightforward sort of Doom gameplay. Like I'm even using the Doom monsters because I want it to keep me in that mindset, keep me in this sort of like, hey, dude, like these guys are going to behave this way, and these guys are going to behave that way. I'll definitely end up having enemies that behave differently than Doom, stuff like that. Like when you first start out, I think the first level will be facing a bunch of slow-moving zombie dudes that just, you know, um, you headshot them, and all you're gonna have is pistol and melee. You start off with 25 bullets, and like you switch to melee, which is just gonna be knuckles. It's like not brass knuckles, but like I forget what it's called, but yeah, it's just called knuckles, I think. And you punch the zombie until they die, and they drop a little bit. They drop something that gives you some kind of loot, and then there's the AP module, which gives you action points, and then ability. Now, right now, I'm only planning on just having the one ability, but like here are the abilities, and like once you have an ability equipped in a slot, then you'll actually see the action point meter. And the better AP module that you have, the more action points you have, you'll be able to use your ability more often. And the ability works pretty much exactly like the meter in Overwatch. In other words, dealing and taking damage makes it so that you gain action points, and then action points once you have enough, depending on the one that you have equipped, which I can't equip right now because I have to unlock the ability slot. So things start off really slow, kind of. Well, not too slow, but you're fighting mostly just zombies, and then I give you the shotgun unlock fairly early, right? And you get this, and you boom, now you get now you're starting to get you start seeing shotguns drop, and you might get like a nice purple shotgun or something like that, and you're like boom, boom, and you're just killing these guys, boom. And if the inventory system itself is essentially, I think it's pretty much just like Fallout 4 as far as like your inventory, except one thing that's going to happen with the storage weight is first of all you're going to be able to carry a lot. I'm not going to make it so that you have to deal with like a really overly stringent carry weight, but also too when you go over the limit, you only start to slow down a little bit. Like you might only see a 1% difference in movement speed when you just go over a little bit the top. And the only way that you can actually get all the way down to 0 movement speed, where you can't walk at all, like in Fallout, is by uh, going twice as high as the storage capacity. So if you allow your storage capacity to go all the way up to twice as high, then that's that. I figured out the math that I'm going to be doing for experience points is going to be pretty weird because implementation wise, it's weird math, but you'll never be able to tell the difference while playing. As far as I can tell, the math behind all of these numbers and everything like that, one person had the criticism that that if you design it this way, like it's not as good as just having a pure stat system. But the way I'm designing this, you won't be able to tell the difference because under the hood, it's not a pure stat system. Everything's relative, right? But when I level up, health my health will go up by 10%. But then everybody who has the same health, like another soldier, will still be level 1, and you'll have 10% less health. If I shoot him, I do 10% more damage, but if he shoots me, well, I guess I already explained it. But basically, what happens is the number gets bigger, but since it's being multiplied, since a static number is being multiplied by a static number, so that's the level is being multiplied by the value. Like when I look at a piece of armor, I'm gonna see how much defense it gives me, and that's gonna be the actual number. And when I level up, the number is not gonna go down. It's not gonna change. It's gonna give this impression of a it's gonna give the impression that it's a stat system where I actually hand did like how much armor each of these how much each of these give you. And that might seem really strange, but since it's all relative and it all kind of comes back together again. Like I'm just doing things in a way that makes it easier to balance in the long run. But like when you look at a piece of armor, you'll be able to see like, well, of course the armor class and stuff like that. Armor class will probably change if the armor is lower level, but like the armor value won't, because the piece of armor will become 10% less effective, but at the same time, I just gain 10% more health, which means that the number that I'm multiplying went up by 10%. What that means is that the armor number will stay the same, but how much armor that I can actually have if I got a piece of armor that was my level would be higher. Do you see what I'm saying? So like you'll see all these really cool interesting numbers, and only some of the things are going to change. Like things that I can't change, like a straight percentage. Attack power, accuracy, and armor class are the only things. And I could actually go ahead and just leave those alone. But it's really probably a better idea that I actually make those straight percentages decrease. And the same thing would happen with like walking speed and jump height. These are things that don't change with level anyway. So like there's some things that'll be kind of weird, but there are there's other things that you're just never going to be able to really tell. And in a lot of ways, like as a piece of armor or something gets weaker as you level up, which is actually something that like World of Warcraft does. Um, you can kind of like just think about it as durability. Like you can kind of write it off as like, I know that's not exactly what's happening, but for um, suspense of disbelief, you can say, oh well, I was using that armor for a little while. It got worse because I used it too long and it like took a lot of damage, and it's just not as good as a new suit. So like it's not really that bad even in terms of that. Like it's not unrealistic. It's just what happens when you use something for too long. Um, and that's pretty much that. Like I think that pretty much covers everything. There's a lot of items. Like I want to have a lot of gambling elements and credits chips. You'll see these credits chips. Basically, when you get a credit chip, if you get one of these drops, it means that it might have between a certain amount, like 500 is the middle value of the sell price. So if you just drop this on a vendor, you're guaranteed half. But if you use the item, it'll uh, it'll give you between a number higher than 500 or lower than 500 by a certain percentage. And so like it's kind of like, do I use the item and take a risk, or do I just dump it on a vendor for the medium value? And that's those. Potions. Potions work just like equipment. They give you a status effect that lasts like a few minutes or something like that. So if you're having a hard time, or if you know that there's going to be a really tough fight, that's my energy drink. Um, you could you can like pop one of these, and it gives you a significant boost, like a 25% boost if the item is your level. If it's green or higher, it'll be even better by a small amount. Uh, Stone Skin Potion raises your armor class. I think actually a Stone Skin Potion would probably increase your armor and your armor class. So it's like a badass potion actually, and that would last for a certain amount of time. Sprinter's Potion makes it so that your walk speed would increase by a certain amount. Status effects will appear on the upper left side of the screen, um, and they have like a timer, and there's like a whole user interface aspect. So everything that I need to do right now, which is probably what I'm going to be doing tonight, is just the tooltips need to be working on these on the equipment, and I need to make sure that the text changes color based on its quality level, because some of the body armor is blue. I mean, yeah, and that's about it really. Like I'm gonna am I in all? Hmm. Uh, I'm gonna go ahead and end this here because I think that's pretty much it. Uh, once I get once I get the armor in a fully functional state, then I'll get how armor actually affects your stats. Then once that's in place, then I'll actually have groundwork for being able to finally start thinking about the guns. And then the guns is going to be like a really big one, because the nice thing about the guns though is that all the really tough stuff like making grenades that bounce and stuff like that, all that shit's already done. And also too, like I kind of already know what I want. Like the really complicated shit is just getting these fucking inventories in a functional state. One thing that is kind of nice though is like since loot isn't supposed to be instanced, I mean loot isn't replicated over the network. You can drop stuff on the ground and you don't have to worry about another player taking your shit. Like if you feel like it, because I already guarantee you, like a lot of people are gonna do is they're gonna drop stuff on the ground and then come back for it after the level's over. Like here's the exit switch. All right, and then you run back and then you like slowly run yourself back over because you're like over encumbered. Uh, there's also like a variety of different types of items when it comes to crafting. I want to have like all kinds of stuff so that you can craft like crazy amounts of items, and they all require like different degrees of equipment parts. And that at a really high level, like if you're at level 10 and the level cap isn't raised, I'll probably have like fairly tough levels that you can run that actually require you to have like a full suit of blue or a full suit of like heroic armor and weapons and stuff like that. And the only way to really reliably get those is to get uh the crafting recipes to actually make them. So it's kind of a grindy game, but that's kind of the point. But it's also like straight up combat as well. Like you end up getting into fights where you're not even thinking about stats and stuff like that for a while. You're just gonna be fighting shit, fucking shooting these guys, and like a monster closet opens up. I mean, it's the same fucking like monsters are teleporting in. You flip switches, like straight Doom, like even more doomy than fucking uh Doom 2016 was, and designed in such a way where where you keep playing where you keep playing the levels over and over again, and you unlock the harder difficulty. It just raises the levels of all the things, which then also raises the level of like all the loot in the level, and also like maybe monsters spawn, so it's like playing between Hurt Me Plenty and Ultra Violence and stuff like that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the idea so far. It's already it's coming along. It'll be interesting to get the tooltips and shit like that in a functional state. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and end this now because this shit is like way long. Oh god, it's so long. But it is a dev video, so I can like there you go. All right, I'm just gonna end it.